Hello, it's Jen Wood here, and welcome to another Wellbeing Wednesday. I wanted to introduce you today to something which I use often when I'm working with people, and it's called internal family systems. And I don't know if you've seen the film Inside Out, the Pixar film Inside Out, but if you have, then you will understand what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, maybe you will want to watch it because it might be really helpful for you. But what the film describes is, and it's a cartoon, it's a lovely cartoon. There's a little girl called Riley, and she has got parts. And she's got a sad part, she's got an anxious part, she's got an angry part, and she's got a depressed part. And that's really a useful way to describe and understand how our emotions work and how we regulate our emotions, and how sometimes we can get triggered and completely taken over by anger, or completely taken over by anxiety, or completely taken over by sadness, and how that can be all consuming and really difficult to get ourselves out of. And if we can recognize these parts and understand how they get triggered, we can come back to a place of self leadership. We can reconnect with ourself. So it's a bit like driving the bus of our life. And if you can imagine that bus, we wouldn't want the sad part to be at the wheel, we wouldn't want the angry part to be at the wheel, we wouldn't want the depressed part or the anxious part to be at the wheel. We want our wise self to be at the wheel so we can make the best decisions. And the wise self has most of all the qualities of knowing we are always enough, and that we are likable, we're lovable, we don't need to be fixed, there's nothing wrong with us. And it's not about being perfect, because that's a part, it's just about being enough. And I found this really helpful in my life, and I've found clients and people I've worked with have found it really helpful as well. And so I don't know if this idea of driving the bus of your life is helpful, but the self, and coming from a self-led place, coming from a place of self-leadership, the self is always calm. The self is always curious. The self has clarity. The self feels connected. The self feels confident. The self has courage. The self is creative. And the self is compassionate. And inside all of us, we have all of these things. We know how to come back to ourselves and how to heal. We know how to be present with ourselves in the most loving way. They are the qualities of awareness. We can use mindfulness to help us come back to self, to connect with our feet, to connect with our seat, to use our posture, to use our breath, to smile, and to reconnect to self. I hope you found that helpful. Just a quick taste. I do recommend the film Inside Out, and I look forward to seeing you next week.